Hey there, friends. Welcome to a special bonus episode of the Bible in Life podcast. I am sharing this with you because I ended up having a conversation with a pastor in Yukon Territory, Canada, who reached out to me because he had produced a new book based on a sermon series through the Gospel of John. And somehow he reached out to me. We'll talk about how that happened here later in the episode. And it just proved to be such a fascinating conversation. I wanted to share it with you all as a bonus episode, specifically because I found it fascinating how difficult the ministry is there and how faithful Jeremy has been. The book is called Meeting Jesus: Transformational Encounters of Jesus in John's Gospel. It is available on Amazon, and I encourage you to check it out. So here's a special conversation, bonus episode between me and a new friend from Yukon Territory, Canada, Jeremy Norton. Anyhow, good to meet you.
Yes.
And yeah, I a lot of, I'll actually get a handful of these kind of emails over the course of the year, and a lot of them I just pass on. But for whatever reason, your bio, your website intrigued me. So
Oh man, thank you.
yeah. So seems like you've had a I'm not sure the right word, but fruitful ministry, hopefully
Yeah,
there in
no,
Whitehorse, and you've been there a
totally.
long time. And
Yeah, almost. So just near in 11 years, I think, maybe near in 12. Yeah, it's
okay,
been great. Uh, yeah, it's been a wild journey. It was called Whitehorse Baptist Church. It was anything and everything that you could imagine of kind of an old school, very rightly or wrongly, kind of like self-focused congregation that
hmm
had just kind of dwindled. But God's been gracious, and yeah, it's amazing.
yeah. So when you arrived, how many folks were part of the congregation?
Well, so when I first arrived, it's kind of a crazy story. I arrived as an associate pastor under a lead pastor, and I had actually applied to this church three different times because I felt called to Whitehorse. I tried to plant churches in Whitehorse, or like go with a church planting organization, didn't work because I really felt called to Whitehorse, my wife and I both. And it just doors closed, closed, closed. And then finally one opened to be associate pastor. I get there to this church and I didn't realize that actually the senior pastor and the elders were actually in a big fight as I got hired. 3 months after I get there as associate pastor, the lead pastor resigns. And the place was already dwindling. Well, it really dwindled then. And so I don't know. I think at its I seem to remember, I think the week after, I think there was like 63 people, including kids. That number sticks out in my mind. A couple weeks after the whole implosion, and I was there, and they're like, "Well, are you going to leave? You've only been here." And I was like, "Well, I feel called to Whitehorse, and this is the only church in town that aligns with me doctrinally." And so I was like, Nicole, my wife, she was like, "No, let's stick it out." And we've moved our whole family here. Let's just see. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, that's
It was a
crazy.
long, hard road, but it was so wild. I couldn't believe it. 3 months after I got there in September, and then I think December, yeah, December, right before Christmas. He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm resigning." And then he tells me early, but he actually resigns on Christmas Eve publicly. It was a disaster. It was a
Yeah,
disaster. I was
yeah,
like, "What are you?" But when you're the second guy, there's only you're a new guy and you're the associate. Like, there's only so much you can. Oh, what a disaster! Anyway, glad
yeah,
those days are behind me.
yeah, yeah. Well, it seems like the Lord was gracious. Where did you guys move from?
So we were in Alberta before then. So I grew up in Sarnia, Ontario. My wife grew up in Alaska. We met at a wilderness Bible college in Northern Ontario, and then we got married. We moved to Alberta for a while. I did ministry there for a while. My first career was actually in hospitality and tourism management, working in hotels in Calgary. But then the Lord pulled me out of that, went to night school to get my Bible degree, and then I moved into ministry. So, bit of a convoluted journey. And I
Yeah.
also served 4 years in Alaska as well during my ministry term, during a 10-year ministry term. But,
Okay.
mhm.
Where did you do
Yeah.
night school at?
Alberta Bible College
Okay.
in Calgary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where in Alaska were you?
Soldotna. She
Okay.
grew up in Nikiski, Alaska, on the Kenai Peninsula, and I was serving. I served a term as youth pastor at Grace Brethren Church. Soldotna. Well, it's had Peninsula Grace Brethren Church is the full name, but now it's a little shortened. But anyway, in
Yeah.
Soldotna.
Okay. Okay. I'm not super familiar with, my geography of that region, but
That's fine.
my only experience with Alaska is I was in Anchorage about a year ago
Oh,
for
wow, that's great.
yeah, for 3 or 4 days, doing some teaching and training with a church in Anchorage.
Hmm.
And you guys are roughly the same sort of latitude as Anchorage, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
exact same.
Okay.
Now we get a bit colder weather because we're more inland. Like Anchorage sometimes gets some ocean effect,
Yeah. Okay.
but it still gets cold. Like it gets cold in Anchorage. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
comparatively, so.
Yeah. So what's the climate like there in Whitehorse?
So today the sun is coming out, but it was still like -20 this morning.
Oh wow.
And in this winter, we had a really cold winter. It was like there were days that got below -40.
Wow.
So you like can't drive or anything because like even antifreeze freezes at -37. So like all your tubes in your vehicle, they just crack like rubber cracks. So you you either have to start your vehicle indoors and keep it warm. You got to be really careful. You can break stuff. Stuff breaks at -40.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
It just
I'd
it
break
just
at negative
breaks.
40, so we
Yeah,
we don't get that cold where I'm at. So
yeah. You're in Texas, is that right?
no, I'm in Boise,
No.
Idaho.
Oh, Idaho. Forgive me. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. So and we had a very, very extremely mild winter this year. I mean, we normally, we'll have some cold by our standards, cold, at single
Mhm.
digits. We might occasionally get below in the
Mhm.
negative numbers, but usually single digits is where we get to, and we'll get it's occasional good snowstorm, but that's about it. But this year
Mhm.
we didn't get any snow. The ski resorts all had to close early because even the mountains didn't get snow. So we've just had a really
Mhm.
weird winter here, and we've
Mhm.
already had some 80-degree days,
Mhm.
which so
Mhm.
things are
My
weird.
wife, my wife has family in Nampa.
Okay.
Mhm.
So where I'm sitting, depending which part of Nampa, if it's South Nampa, that's about 10, 12 minutes from where I'm sitting.
Sweet.
So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never been there, but my wife has.
Okay.
Yeah.
You haven't gone and visited that bit of the family, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's not that I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
them or love them, but it's yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. It's money. That's really what it comes down to. Is
yeah,
it's you got to make decisions on travel with cash,
yeah,
and it is very meaningful for my wife to go hang out with her sister, but I just end up hanging out with my brother-in-law, and there's not really we both working and busy, so it's really for the girls to get together, which is
yeah,
fine.
yeah. And you're right. Travel is expensive to your part of the world and from my part
Mm-hmm.
of the world. I mean, it's like Boise is not an easy place. It's not a hub. So I always got if I fly anywhere, I was in Lewistown, Montana in January doing some teaching there, and it's like you fly to Seattle the opposite direction before you fly over to Montana, and so but
I know.
it just
Yeah,
makes things take a long time and get expensive, and so
it's a thing.
yeah.
It's a thing for sure.
And you and your wife have 3 kids, is that correct?
Three boys,
Yep.
18, 15, and 10.
Okay. All right.
Jude, Luke, and Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 18-year-old, what's his plan since he's just about getting done with school?
Yeah, so he's going to go to Prairie Bible College in Three Hills, Alberta. There's like
Okay.
an outdoor leadership program there, like a Wilderness Bible College kind of
Yep.
program. He's going to
Okay.
do that for a year as like a gap year, and then his plan is to be a wildlife trooper in Alaska.
Okay. All right.
That's the plan.
Okay.
So it's nice when your teenager has a plan. Praise the
You never
Lord.
know. You never know. So very good.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
yeah, that's great. And it sounds like you guys, obviously where you're living, I'm sure it's super convenient and easy. Like Whitehorse is only about 30,000 people, isn't it? Or
Yeah, we're actually at 40,000 now, but
okay.
like there's only 50,000 in the whole territory. And if you think about it, it's the same land mass. It's the exact same land mass as California, interesting enough. So if you try to imagine, imagine 40,000 people living in LA and then just 10,000 people spattered throughout the state. Like
Wow.
that's where we live.
That's Yukon Territory, huh?
Yeah. And like 4 to 5,000 live in Dawson City. So then, which is the town 6 hours north. So you take away that, we're talking like a few thousand people scattered
Wow.
throughout the territory. So it's in a, it's, so
Yeah.
it's
Pretty
there's
wide
lots of
open.
open,
Yeah,
very
so
wide
you get to
open.
do and you have pretty easy access, I'm guessing, to a lot of like recreation,
Oh
outdoor,
yeah,
hunting, fishing,
yes
whatever.
sir,
Yeah,
all of it, love it, can't get
yeah,
enough of it. So
yeah.
good. Yeah, my boys and I actually have a YouTube channel called The Yukon Boys. You can look it
Hmm.
up if you're bored. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's pretty fun. It's like a
It's
little
cool.
side thing my boys and I do.
Yeah,
It's good.
that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this area, I mean, Boise has always been the biggest city in Idaho, but when I moved here 30 years ago, it there was less than 1 million people in the entire state of Idaho, and about
Wow.
200,000 were in our region. Now there's 1.5 million in our region, and it's just messed up all the hunting and fishing and everything else. So the place where we always used to hunt is now just overrun with people on razors and dirt bikes and camping, and it's
Oh, that's awful.
I know. So we're going to scout some new territory out south for hunting and all that. And, area that's hopefully has a few less people in it. But yeah, it's just completely changed everything. We used to be able to drive an hour out up on the river and fish really easily, never see another person. Now it's just overrun with RVs and campers. And so it's completely changed the entire dynamic. But
That is so crazy. Um, I had heard that like some of the more nicer conservative states were getting like influxed over the past, like since COVID.
yeah,
And so obviously Idaho is one of those.
yeah.
I think Texas is too, and Florida also, from what I heard. Maybe Arkansas too, like even
Yeah,
some,
Nashville,
yeah.
Tennessee had some of that, the same experience.
Okay.
And yeah. So what are some of the unique challenges of ministry in Whitehorse?
Well, as far as secularism goes, it's a massive, like we're in Canada, which, if you know anything about Canada, it's a very secular nation, right? We're post-Christian nation, not moving that way, but definitely where the majority is, yeah, there's no even like even if you get like quasi Christian like you do in the States where maybe like a God fearing person and yet they can't really put the gospel together. We don't have any of that. Um, and on the west coast of Canada, it's amplified. I know the west coast of the U.S. is fairly secular, but it amplifies even more in the west coast of Canada. And so for us in the Yukon Territory, we're right around Statistics Canada states us right around 51% of Whitehorse is atheist or agnostic. So that means over half will state we either, we openly deny God or don't care. He's some, whatever. So one out of two people rejects any sort of idea of deity, and then you start parsing that out amongst different faith positions, and we're less than 1% evangelical. So it's hard soil, and yet praise God, He's blessed our ministry, and we've seen people come to know Jesus. And actually, the book Meeting Jesus that I released started as a sermon series in 2018 out of the revitalization and walking through these accounts with Jesus through John's gospel, and we actually saw people come to know Christ. And that in 2024, I pulled the series out and was like, maybe I'm going to put this into a book. And then back and forth through 2025 with the publisher. And yeah, so it's hard soil, but that, like in the Northern Territories of Canada, like Canada as a whole is hard soil, but in the Northern Territories, it's hard. We're also 25% native, so you have like all sorts of different, like, well, in a lot of ways it's demonic stuff, but like just kind of odd spirituality of animals and animism, and all that gets mixed into it. And that is like native religion is like promoted kind of by government institutions and stuff like that. So you can so for example, in a public school you could never do any sort of religious ceremony, but they'll do like a smudge ceremony where they burn sweetgrass and speak to the elders in the secular school. So it's this weird, like it's hypocrisy. It's what it is, but it's bizarre. You go so far into secularism that you actually start adopting like idolatry, which is bizarre.
I can imagine that's particularly challenging. What are some things that, as a church, you guys like? What are some things that have been effective for, like, breaking the soil, reaching into people's lives? Even maybe, are you having much success with Native people who, from their background and
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess to kind of answer the first question or the last question first, the answer is no. They're in all attempts in Canada. They're the only so in our fellowship of churches, the only people groups that are able to break into First Nation soil, crazy enough, are Korean missionaries. We have
interesting?
Korean missionaries that are landing in reservations and seeing people come to know Christ. And I can only imagine that there is such a racial barrier and authority structure that God chose to bring. And I know South Korea right now is, according to missions research, they are the most sending nation now of missionaries all over the world. And there have been a ton of Korean missionaries that have come to Canada to witness and share the gospel with First Nations people.
Hmm.
So that's that side of it. Now, for us, we have seen people come to know Christ, predominantly just Canadians, average Canadians, and predominantly millennial Canadians. And the things that in the changes we made in the revitalization, we did a few things in regards specifically to like my preaching. Um, we every single message I would explain. Um, so I'll back up. It started actually with this millennial gal who came to like one of our like next steps classes, just to kind of like, hey, what's the church all about? And she said to me, she said this, she goes, what's with that code that you Christians have? And it's like, what do you mean the code? Like your little Bible code, like you got like a couple letters and then like digits and colon in there, and all you Christians know, but you don't let anyone know. And that moment in that class dawned on me, and I was like, she's right. I'll just throw it, oh yeah, 1 Corinthians 2:6.
Yeah.
And then I put that little code, one COR dot number colon number. And all the Christians know. And here they are, they've come into the door exploring Christianity or exploring faith. And so we took that seriously, and our whole leadership said, okay, we're done doing that. We pull out the Bible, and every single week we would open it to the front cover and say, hey, there's a table of contents and you're going to see this. And I would explain it. Now, some of the longtime people, they said, why do you keep explaining how to look it up in the Bible? And I said, you're going to have to just get used to it. We're doing it every week. And because we keep seeing new people show up, God's bringing them through the door. And if God keeps bringing them through the door, like, we're going to keep explaining it. If not every week, definitely every other week. So that was one important thing. And then we saw people like, we started hearing like, even Christians are like, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I love that you do that because I don't know where the heck Habakkuk was, and I just never bothered looking it up. Like, stuff like that.
Right, right.
And so all of a sudden we started hearing like, these are like people who grew up in the church, and are now. So that was that was like a side benefit.
Yeah.
The other thing I started doing is, one of my, I guess, one of my greatest heroes was always Billy Graham, and his, and, and I realized, okay, I'm in a highly secular environment. God's bringing people through the door. I'm like, do I really do, like, am I really going to do the sinner's prayer? Like, am I really going to do that? And, some of my reformed bros were like, no, that's, don't do that. Anyway, all my Calvinistic buddies were just like losing their minds that I was toying with the idea. But then I was like, you know what, Lord, I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to say, if you want to give your life to Jesus today, there's going to be a prayer on the screen, and I'm going to pray this prayer. And if you would like to pray this prayer with me and give your life to Christ, and wouldn't you know it, it worked. It worked like crazy.
Did you have like a follow up to that then, so you would know who those people were?
Totally did. Yeah, and at the start we were small enough that we could just get it, but then we had a process of like people filling out like a Connect card, let us know, and we would give them a study Bible with their name written in. And so that was like, if you gave your life to Jesus, please let us know, because we want to give you a study Bible, or nice Bible with your name in it, and the day that you gave your life to Jesus. So like we kind of, for lack of a better word, there was a carrot to it,
Yeah.
And so we did, and then we started seeing baptisms like crazy, which was wild. So now the hard part of this is that Whitehorse is also a transient town. Like, we moved from like one gathering to 2 English gatherings, and now we've even added, this is the crazy part, we've added a third Tagalog, like Filipino gathering. This might be a weird thing for you, but in Canada, they started fast tracking Filipino workers into Canada like about 5-10 years ago. And so now, and they gave them, they fast tracked their immigration if they were willing to go to the Northern Territories. So we currently have 10% of our population in Whitehorse is actually Filipino. And so we hired a part-time Filipino pastor, and we have like a Tagalog gathering too. So that's been like a wild. So we have 3 gatherings, 2 in English, 1 in Tagalog. We got a guy just recorded an Easter video. His name's Dan, and he just came in on Sunday morning. He woke up our Easter morning. He had been watching YouTube clips about faith and different stuff, and he said he had his wife and his 2 daughters. He says, "You know what? It's Easter. We're going to church." And his wife and daughters were like, "Okay." And so they come to Easter. We present the Easter message. The whole family gives their life to Jesus. The daughter, we then invite, we do open call baptisms. The daughter's like, "Okay, are we going to get baptized?" And he's like, "No, like, sit down, like, we're new to this." And he was like, "No, I can't believe what's happening to us." And so anyway, it starts a year of, obviously they did get baptized and discipled and everything that. And then I asked him, I said, "Hey, Dan, would you mind doing just a little video on your cell phone of like a year ago?" And he did. And man, I'm telling you, John, it is gold. I'm not editing a thing. It's like rough cut. It's 3 minutes, but it is gold of just like an average dude. Like, I came in last year at Easter and Jesus changed my life. And I'm just like, I showed it to my wife. I said, I'm not doing anything with this. There's no edits.
Yeah.
I'm going to put some
play it as is. That's awesome.
Well, rightly or wrongly, I did add some background music,
Yeah.
But I'm not changing what he says.
Yeah. No, that's great. And when you say, discipled him, like, what's your guys' discipleship process for?
Yeah. So we have community groups. That's an option, depending on, there's a few community groups going on at all times. And then also I still can, at the size we're at, I can still do some like one-on-one discipleship at coffee shops and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not so busy that I can't meet with people. And then like, obviously for his kids, we have a kids program and youth program. And for his wife, we actually have a lot of options for women, which is usually the case. There's always more options for like groups and things for women than men. I think women are just, I don't know why women just do more, go to more. And maybe guys just have they got a lot of other pressures. Doing men's groups it's hard. Yeah.
No, I think it works better. Probably in an environment like yours, I think this would probably be true, but you would obviously know way more than me. It seems like with guys, it works better when you just go do things together.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Want to go fishing with me? You want to go, whatever, and you get some of those activities and you
Yeah.
spend time with that way, you know. But,
And, coffee before work and going out for wings after or in the evenings after the kids go to bed. So I make myself available. I try to at least one night a week for guys if they want to go for wings, like at 7:30, 8 o'clock when my youngest goes to bed. I'm not really stealing too much family times. Like my teenage boys are kind of doing their own thing often anyway.
yeah.
But I like to make sure that my youngest, I'm with him till he goes to bed, and then I'll go out.
Yeah.
And that works really well. Yeah, for guys, they
Yeah.
can fit that in their schedule.
Yeah. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love both things about that. The fact that you're making yourself available to the guys, but you're also prioritizing family. So,
Well, I had good mentorship.
yeah. Yeah.
And sadly, I had a dad who worked too much,
Yeah.
so I missed a lot. I just don't want to do that to my boys. I'm the oldest of three boys, and then I had three boys,
Okay.
so I have a very very. There are things that my dad did well, but there's things that I just don't want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
repeat.
Yeah. I get that. Now, you reached out to me via email because of a new book you have put together from the Gospel of John about meeting Jesus. And it's always fascinating to me when I get these kind of emails that people would reach out to me. So I'm curious, how did you find me?
I took some deep dives and said, look at my website and then go out on the internet and connect me with podcasters, authors, audio people that I could connect with related to my new book, which is kind of a layman's commentary, my new book,
Yep.
Meeting Jesus.
Yep.
And
kind of study guide style too. You've got questions at the end and kind of study guide style.
That's
through it.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of that you could use in a small group or a personal study.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I liked it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And you picked the excerpts and kind of walked down through it, pointed out some things, and then gave, like I said, like kind of study guide style where you could use it on your own or in a small group. So
yeah. So far, it's been good. It launched March 10th. It's been good so far.
Good.
Starting to get some feedback. So
cool.
I had a seminary president. I got him to read it. And he signed off on it. So that's good.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I really have enjoyed getting to know you,
you
sounds
too.
like the Lord's doing some really good work there in Whitehorse. So, not a place I'll probably ever get to, but
but if I ever get to Idaho, can I drop you a line? We can go for coffee.
Yeah, sure can. Yeah, if you make one of those trips to Nampa with your wife one of these days, yeah.
No, that's the thing. I'm sure I will at some point.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, man.
Nice
good to meet you,
John.
Jeremy. Yeah, take care.
Later, man. Bye.
Yep. Bye.